Hey everyone, Josh here, RK Motors content guru and one-time convertible owner. Today we're going to take a look at another Chevy. Just kidding. We're going to take a look at this awesome 1966 Mustang Pro Touring convertible. Quick bit of trivia for you. What was the first year of Mustang production? So if you're watching this, you probably know the significance of the Mustang. It's one of the most significant Fords ever created. It was championed by superstar Ford exec and Chrysler exec Lee Iacocca. And the idea was Ford was trying to make an affordable car that was also very appealing to everyone, not just a specific car enthusiast. So they took a lot of stuff from the Fairlane and Falcon and they come up with the Mustang. The car was engineered as a convertible first, which is one reason why people love to resto-mod first generation convertibles. So, of course, you know, with all of this, the Mustang is the car that kicked off the pony car wars, thus named pony cars, because the Mustang, you know, pony. Pony car competitors included the Camaro, the Firebird, the Cuda and Challenger from Chrysler, even Ford's own Mercury Cougar, and let's not forget AMC's Javelin. So this car specifically is, of course, a ground-up restoration. This awesome paint, House of Kolor Tangelo Orange Pearl. So House of Kolor is really cool because they kind of tie into custom culture. It's House of Kolor with a K, just like custom culture with a K. So it's, you know, for muscle car guys who want something a little more showy, you know, than traditional muscle car paint. They do a really good job of offering some really cool colors. So this is Tangelo Orange, and this is painted white pearl stripes. Mods, pretty subtle stuff done here. We got a Mustang GT grille, Shelby style hood, filled cowl panel, no mirrors or no emblems. And at the back of the car, somebody's taken the time to fill the seams. So the seam that would normally be right here, the seam that will be here in the quarters, and there's usually a seam right about here. It's filled that to make it look, you know, a lot more show-worthy, a lot cooler, kind of a custom vibe. So let's take a look at the engine. So for the second week in a row, we have a car with a stroker engine. This one is a 408 stroker. It's based on the 351 Windsor block. Well, first off, the 351 is kind of an evolution of the original 302. So they did a higher deck height and just made more displacement. So the 408 stroker builds on that. It's just longer stroke, more displacement, more power. The 351, in the history of the motor, the 351 Cleveland, if you're a Ford fan, you'll know that there are two different 351s, kind of stole the Windsor's thunder. But that's something we can explore in a future video. So the Windsor stuck around in Ford vehicles, kind of low-key until, I guess, the mid-90s. So that means there's a lot of aftermarket support for this engine. It's a really good thing. So specifically, what you're looking at on this is Holley Sniper EFI fuel injection. So we've discussed that before. It's going to be a lot more drivable, better tunability. It's not something you're going to have to mess with all the time. Airflow research aluminum heads definitely provide more power. You got a Wien Stealth intake, more power. And one of the things I wanted to highlight on this car is the MSD ignition. So this car has an MSD 6AL2 ignition. So that's one of the most advanced ignition systems you can get from the company. MSD has been around for quite a while. It stands for multiple spark discharge. So what you're trying to do with an engine is gain efficiency and create more power. I feel like that's a theme we've had today is more power. So anyways, multiple spark discharge, in addition to firing more during the cycle, it gives a hotter, it's a hotter charge. So, you know, you can burn fuel and air faster and more efficiently. With the MSD 6AL2, you get a lot of tunability built into that. So you get rev limiting. You can adjust it for a nitrous if you want to put a nitrous system on this car. Really good system. Overall, really modern kind of feel for a car that's got a rather traditional engine in it. So when you buy a classic car that's convertible, you're most likely going to drive it most of the time with the top down. That's one thing that's so great about this Mustang is the amount of contrast and style that's in the interior. It's very functional, that's also made to, show off. So you have these seats, originally in the first generation Mustang, had what they called the interior decor group. Part of that was the ponies on the seats. So you'll hear that referred to in the hobby as the pony package quite a bit. These look like TMI buckets, but I'm not sure if they are. They definitely have larger bolsters than stock, so they're probably not original seats. As much as this car was built to show, it was also built to drive. You have a full array of Autometer Phantom 2 gauges across the dash, B&M Pro Ratchet shifter, modern audio, and right here is the controller for the Holley Sniper EFI. So that's touchscreen, and it can control a lot of characteristics of how the car performs right at your fingertips. Now that we have this Mustang on a lift, let's take a look under the car. So you might have noticed when we were looking at the engine compartment that it does not have shock towers. That is a big advantage of using what is referred to in the hobby as a Mustang II front clip. So Mustang II front clip has its originations, I guess, sometime in the 70s, when the California hot rodder by the name of Chuck Lombardo discovered that he could take the stock front end out of a Mustang II and fit it into a wide variety of resto-mods and classics custom he was building. So what eventually happened is aftermarket companies like Heidts, who made this Mustang II-style front clip, took the design and ran with it. And over the years, they've engineered a lot more usability into it. And none of the components are original or spec to Mustang IIs. But that's what it's referred to in the hobby because people know that terminology. So of course, what that gave you in a car like this is upgrading to rack-and-pinion steering, disc brakes. In this case, we have Wilwood discs at all four corners of the car. Tubular control arms, of course, lighter and stronger. And it works well with this piece of hardware, which is what we call a torque arm. So torque arm suspensions kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week when we were talking about how the power of the car on general leaf spring suspensions, you're trying to control up and down and you're trying to control side to side. Well, the nature of a torque arm, by supporting the bottom of the housing of the rear axle, that is much more conducive to putting power down, and it allows the springs, in this case adjustable coil-over-shocks, to just worry about the ride of the car and the height of the car. They're not trying to control the power that's going to the ground. You have, of course, Ford 9-inch rear axle, pretty standard fare in resto-mods. Ford C4 3-speed. The C4 is one of the original Ford automatic transmissions. Been around a long time. Proven transmission, very durable. Nice stainless exhaust system here. Custom stainless headers. That is obviously because of the height of the car. Don't want anything being too low. You have a car that's sitting down on the pavement. And that kind of ties into the torque arm as well, because this suspension design is really good for cars that sit low, as opposed to something like traction bars. Traction bars are an easy fix to try to get, control the side to side and the up and down of putting power to the ground. But what they end up doing is you have a lot more hardware hanging down and it stiffens up the springs. So you're going to compromise your ride quality. Other than that, just a really nice build. Nice fuel cell here that you can access from the trunk. That rides on American Racing Shelby Cobras. Obvious inspiration for these wheels were Shelby Cobras. American Racing makes really good products that are kind of cost conscious. So you're not paying exorbitant amounts of money for wheels that are pretty strong and they look very good. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to this edition. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you want to see. Thanks.